Thanks for the report, Don. Appreciate that. Yeah, we've got a few reports of about 1 inch totals across portions there of Indiana. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snow Talk on this Wednesday. I'm waving you're all just Brian Good. Welcome to the blog today, where we are still talking about snow, and we're going to cover the snow showers today. But the ones today, you guys knew were coming. We talked about it yesterday. This is a minor setup, just freshening up, if you will, some of the snow cover in the area. But it is causing some slick spots in some areas, especially if an area hasn't been treated or has a layer of ice and get a little bit of a dusting of snow on top of that. That can make things a little slick for you there. So use some caution as you venture out with these snow showers. We're going to cover that, the frigid air setup, of course, the Friday snow, which is the main topic today. And I'll get into a little bit of the longer term if I can here in a moment, because obviously I've been running behind here today. A lot to cover, and it takes a long time for you guys, or for me, to sometimes get these blogs up and running. But there's so much data to cover, but I don't at the same time want to overwhelm you all with so much data. Just want to pick out the things I think you really need to focus on, and then and we'll just tackle the longer term stuff as we move along. All right, so it's a busy period, absolutely busy, right? So let's get right into the snowboard. We'll start with that. And as we head into today, of course, it's the flurries, snow showers around the area. Friday, period of snow, still on tap for the area. That has not changed. More so the way it's trending now for Friday night. Snow showers sped up a little bit. This looks to be an overnight, Sunday night, Monday morning. And I know teachers and kids are like, oh, maybe another snow day on Monday. I'll explain why that may not be the case coming up in just a second. And then we have another snow chance. I've pushed it back into the 20th, but we may actually get a nice little bubble of warm air in between that one. And that may be enough to get us to rain for at least one system for the entire month of January. We may end up with pure rain. We'll see. More on that again coming up in just a few more minutes. Okay, let's get right into the live look. This is over at Huber's Orchard and Winery. You see the flakes are flying there. Parking lots, though, been in good shape. Most area roads, main interstates and freeways have been in good shape today. They are getting a light coating, but the salt's doing its thing, and the sodium chloride that's been put out onto the roadways. But boy, I tell you, my neighborhood especially is nothing but ice. And I think I went halfway down my road going forward, but going forward sideways. It's very nerve-wracking right now. And I'm sure in a lot of neighborhoods where they're just not part of any contract in some areas to be plowed or treated. So it's just the same of ice and snow. So please be careful if your neighborhood is like that. It's going to be still the biggest challenge for a lot of you, just getting out of your neighborhood. And then after that, the main roads do improve quite a bit. All right, we are cold as expected. This is a result of the Arctic front that came in last night while you were asleep. It's helping to induce the snow showers and keep us chilly. Temperatures in the lower 20s. So yesterday we spent much of the day closer to 28, 29. Today, it's going to be a fight to get to that level just because of the snow showers around. But again, here are the cameras across Kentucky. All look good. A little bit of sun. Look at that at the Bluegrass Parkway into Bardstown, trying to poke those clouds. So isn't that pretty? You get into Indiana, some snow showers there. Visibility does drop. You see it, especially on the Lee Hamilton near 64 into Floyd County there. You can see a little bit of snow on the edges of that. Otherwise, everything looks to be okay there. Okay, here's the radar showing the snow showers moving on by. At times, they can certainly, with it being in the lower 20s, every single flake is going to stick. So it can cause accumulation, especially when they repeat themselves. We're seeing some hints of that now in portions of Harrison County. But it's dying down a bit. And that's the thing. It will decrease in intensity and in coverage as the day wears on. And that's because drier air is flowing in. Now, that's important. Snow aside, we got to figure out the cloud cover today. When does that break up? And when do we get a clear sky, if at all? Because that is a big player on how tonight is going to play out on temperature. You look to the west, you can see the stripe of gray. Now, this is looking from space, so we have to wait till the sun comes up to get daylight to light up the ground there and the cloud cover. But if you look carefully, you can see where the back edge of the clouds actually is. Right there. It's casting a bit of a shadow even on the snowpack in Illinois. That is drifting eastbound. This is all snow from space. You can see even all the little rivers showing up there. Let me take this full screen so you guys can see that. Always love looking at visible satellite images like this after snow, because it really shows you all the rivers there are across in portions of anywhere, really, but certainly in this case in Missouri. Looks wild, right? Okay, so this cloud shield looks like it's on its way. to indeed break up as it moves in this afternoon. Could we get a few hints of sun north and west of Louisville, especially this afternoon? That is possible. But just as we do clear out tonight, the challenge that I'm seeing is that a bank of clouds, because of the snowpack, may develop. And I mean a bank of clouds in terms of either very low stratus deck, or it could actually be a bank of freezing fog that develops on the snowpack. That all plays a factor on how low we go. If we do not see the cloud cover form and we don't see the fog that can form, because sometimes that can mess up the modeling saying that's going to happen when in reality it doesn't, then we will see below zero temperatures tonight and early tomorrow. So if we don't see any clearing and we stay mainly cloudy and we get a blanket, if you will, we're going to stay, especially Louisville, likely in the teens instead of the single digits. So there's a lot of questions, and that's a big difference. Below zero and teens, it may not seem like a lot, but it is a significant difference there, especially when it comes to our bodies and exposure to that cold for a lengthy period of time. So that's why we need to watch the clearing carefully. And we're going to be doing that all afternoon. We'll keep you updated because that is important. I know the snow is getting a lot of attention for Friday, but this is very cold wind chills that could easily get 8 to 10 below zero by early tomorrow. And I know that's when schools are trying to go back in session, right? So we'll be monitoring that. Okay, so here's the cloud cover today and the snow showers. Again, decreasing in coverage. You see the clearing that moves in. Again, north and west of Louisville, better chance to see a sunset this afternoon. And then as we get into the overnight, you see right there, we'll about really fast in it. Right there is where the sky is clear, temperatures dropped into the single digits, and then this bank of clouds. And we don't know, again, if it's going to be a very low stratus or all the way below the tree line and becomes fog right on the snowpack. But it has a difference. The temperatures actually even go up a bit when it forms. But for a moment, there's a window. If we hold on to that clearing long enough, we can see those numbers drop down to below zero in the area. So pretty wild setup there. So here's the actual numbers right now as we have it for the forecast. We're going to go with about 5 here in the city, and we'll just give us some wiggle room to move that up or down. So check back in. I'm sure there'll be changes, obviously. And then obviously the clearing potential and the deeper snowpack both factored in for the potential to go down to zero or below. Okay, so cold weather advisory. This is the first one since the Weather Service has changed them. They got rid of the wind chill advisories that used to always come out. So they call them cold weather advisories now. This is the first one of the program that's ever been issued for any part of Wave Country. And it's Carroll County for tonight, early Thursday. Louisville's threshold is especially wind chills getting about 5 below. It's going to be very close to that level. So there is a chance we could see cold weather advisories extended for a good chunk of Indiana and maybe even into Louisville for tomorrow. It's a Weather Service call on that, and we'll let you know what they decide as we evolve throughout this Wednesday. All right, Thursday itself, after a very cold morning, we do have a sunny setup coming our way for Thursday. Now, it's going to be cold. We're going to be in the 20s, but with the sun rays, we could still see some minor melting or compacting of the snow. And it may seem odd because it's going to be frigid. So how are we melting? Well, the sun rays themselves, even though it's a weak sun angle right now, the sun has a lot of energy. So the sun rays still hitting the snow can cause some of the actual ice crystals to melt away there. So you can get a little more of the dripping on your rooftop. You may hear that on your gutters as well. Shady areas, no. In the shady spots, nothing's going to change, but only where the sun is hitting. This is a classic setup, too, to get icicles. They've already started to form, more than likely in your home in the past 24 hours because we got close to freezing yesterday. That was enough for the heating of your home to allow for the icicles in the gutters to start to form. And obviously, you have them on your car. But this setup, even on Thursday, is a good icicle setup. So watch out and look up on Thursday. But then we get into the snow. Now, this is still the southern wave that is still expected to impact much more of the Dallas area, Little Rock, Jonesboro, Memphis, Nashville, Atlanta, Huntsville, Alabama. Will get a decent snow. I'm saying more than a half a foot could fall in that area. And that's big for them because they have a very limited amount of snowplows in the deep south. So their impacts are more severe on wintry weather, but they obviously can get warmer faster than we can. So usually they just got to wait for things to improve. For us, well, it's still the idea of the phasing of two different areas. One, a boundary moving in across portions of the Great Lakes into Indiana, which you can see here, the little notch that goes up, and that southern wave. They still want to try to phase, but it's not looking that way. It looks like instead more of a shaking of the hands, maybe more of a fist pump that may happen between the two. And there will be enough lift to create snow widespread. So confidence on snow is high. The amounts part is going to be problematic because we got to figure out not only where that lift will be as the two interact and see each other as we into Friday, but how much moisture in general is going to be available. This has got a limit to it, all right? This is not a setup that can produce over a foot of snow. It doesn't have that much moisture involved in it. It's been very consistent on about 3/10 to maybe a ½ inch liquid. And it's about a 10-to-1 ratio. I know someone asked you today, what does that mean, 10-to-1 ratio? That means it's on average 10 inches of snow per 1 inch of rain. Not to get all math here on you all, but that's how we determine that. Louisville, really, for a typical winter, our ratio on average is 8-to-1 more than it is 10-to-1. But anyway, based on a 10-to-1 ratio, though, with 4/10 of liquid moving through, that's going to put us at a good 2 to 4, 3 to 5 inches of snow across wave country, if that's the way the moisture levels hold. Now, if we end up that this band in Indiana and the one down to the south, if they don't have the fist pump or shake hands, whatever the case is, then there will be a decrease in some of the totals in between the two. And that could fall somewhere within wave country. You'll get a little more of a lower total. And that would be one order of maybe 1 to 3. Now, will that be in Louisville? Will that be a little more north, a little more south? I don't know that answer yet. But I do see a hint that that is certainly possible. But certainly some of you will be close to the southern wave to get some of those higher totals. Now, as far as timing goes, I've gotten this question a lot. It's going to be a little odd on this one. Because of the wave coming in from Indiana first, it is a little faster than the southern winter storm will be. So we're going to start getting snow showers and flurries as early as sunrise, really developing. But they'll be very, very light and off and on snow showers. Once we get into the afternoon, especially after 2 to 3 o'clock, we'll get into much more of a steadier snow, a little bit heavier. That's when the main accumulations will start. Temperatures will be close to 28 to 30 at that time. That's good. That means that road crews should be able to handle this fairly well on treatment and salt and plowing to where we may not have a huge issue on roads as long as the treatment is consistent. And they've got a big heads up on this, so I don't see why it wouldn't be. But the Friday afternoon commute is the one commute I'm worried about. I'm not as worried about Friday morning, but Friday afternoon, I do think it's just going to be messy. Visibility, snow coming down hard, and road crews are going to be out. So if you don't have to be out Friday, please don't venture out because they need the room and the timing to get to every little part of the interstates and the ramps. And sometimes they have to skip certain parts because there's traffic in the way. And that doesn't clear the road off fast, right? So if you stay off the roads, that allows them to get to almost every road and treat it. So give them some room, especially Friday afternoon and Friday night. I would plan right now for a movie night for Friday night. Don't venture out. All right, snow will be steady. We do have a conference call with the National Weather Service. The media does. And actually, we'll be on Friday afternoon. So we'll let you know what is discussed then. But at that point, we're already in the storm. So we have an idea, I'm sure, what they're going to be talking about. But anyway, snow continues. And here are the bands. We get into Friday night. This is what I'm watching for. Where would these set up? The models vary on this, too. It's very common to see these banding features. But, boy, they are important. They are important. This can add easily 1 to 2 inches in your area if you get caught under one of these bands. But it's not everywhere. It's only in certain sections of wave country these bands will try to develop when the two try to connect together. The challenge is where to put those. And that's why if you're looking at snowfall maps or you're looking at models, you're going to see a wide range of totals because they all just vary a little bit about how that's going to interact with each other. But when you look at the overall idea, this does look like it's going to be few to several inches of snow across the Ohio Valley down into the Tennessee Valley. It is speeding up enough to where I think by the time we get into Saturday morning, it should be out of here. All right. And then we'll have another round of maybe some light snow as we get into Sunday night. All right. Computer models. Some of them are just now able to see the range. Here's the NAM. You can see the split on the NAM. It's a very poor grid on this one, but you can see the split that is happening. The southern wave and then the Indiana wave. And then you see the lowering in the middle. NAM's been consistent on that. Our in-house model barely sees the northern wave at all. It likes just the southern wave being involved. and therefore puts the heavier snow in southern Kentucky, which honestly, I don't mind this look either. It kind of makes sense. The hurricane can't quite get into the system yet, so we're not going to show that. Here is the GFS. Again, look at little lowering of the blob there into Bullitt County. Don't get upset, Bullitt County. Look at the grand scheme of things, though, again, where it has the separation of a higher, lower, higher that is showing up there. Placement just kind of varies. Here's the euro, much more broad on that idea. For now, what we're going to do on this is we're going to just generally go with a 2 to 4 inches, I think, is a fair number for a lot of you watching right now. Some of you are going to get into that 4 to 6 inch range, especially near and south of the parkways. I think that is likely to happen. But I'm not going to discount those of you around Bedford, Indiana and Seymour, that if that second band can form and enhance a bit more, you could go a little bit higher than even the 1 to 2 in Indiana. We're going to be looking at that data today to decide if we need to make any adjustments, but this is just at least an early snapshot of how that is beginning to look there. All right, let's get into the winter storm watch. It's currently out. This is for Bullitt County, E-Town, Nelson County area, and Grayson South for this system. They will then look at the data today, I'm sure, and decide. I mean, there's going to be winter weather advisories. I mean, that's basically a lock at this point. So winter weather advisors will fill in on the northern side of the track. The question is, this will likely be upgraded to a winter storm warning. They just have to figure out where to place that. And that is going to be tough for the reasons I just outlined, where you got some of the enhancement in Indiana, you've got the southern wave pushing into southern Kentucky, and then you got some of the banding features in the middle. That's going to be a challenge. So our last system, our challenge was the type, snow versus sleet versus freezing rain. This one, it's really just about the amount of energy and moisture levels we got in the area. So the totals are going to vary. I mean, we're going to get something out of this, but I think the varying amounts of a few inches, the general rule in most winter storms is, the higher amounts are either north or south, and they trend the opposite way as you travel in the opposite direction. That's typically how we handle these events. So this one's a bit odd that it may not be that storyline. It may be a little more blotchy on some of those spikes there. Okay, so here is the euro. Wait a minute, before I go on, any questions on that? I know I'm going faster today, but I didn't want to get too technical, and I think I did, so I apologize. But I at least want to make sure that you guys see that there are still some challenges on this. So the amounts part is not locked in, but the idea that we're going to get accumulations out of it, I think, is. If that makes sense. Okay, so as we look at, let's see, what time will the snow start? Okay, and again, Amanda, this is going to be the challenge we've got, because I think it's going to be very light snow showers that'll be moving in as we, thanks Priscilla, I appreciate that. Yeah, John Bettner, I agree. Good grief is what John Bettner said. I do think we're going to get some snow showers and flurries Friday morning. It's going to be off and on, but once you get to 2 to 3 o'clock, it should be steady until about 10 or 11 p.m. Friday night. So again, the afternoon commute Friday, I think is much more at risk of problems than the morning commute will be, even with snow falling on Friday morning. Everyone good? No warning today, by the way, guys. There's no advisory out because we really are over the hump on today's snow showers. They will start decreasing from here on out now today. Sun's trying to peek out now. All right, there you go, Angie. Yeah, I think the way it's looking on that satellite image, it's trying to move in. So I do think you're going to get some sun today, especially north and west of Louisville. I do think that's on the table. But again, that's bad too, because that means it's going to be very, very cold tonight. What about this weekend? Well, Saturday doesn't look bad. We're just going to be trying to dig out again. Sunday, this next clipper moves in. It's sped up. It does look like it's going to be Sunday night into Monday now that will arrive. And yes, that looks to be close to the Monday morning commute. Now, I said there is a catch to this one, and that is that temperatures are trending very close to 31 and 32 because it's a warm air flow at that time. Not warm enough to get this to rain, but warm enough to where it will more than likely just melt on most of the main roadways as far as the roads that are being treated. So I don't right now see a lot of big impacts from that. If we were in the lower 20s, I'd be a little more concerned about this wave Sunday night and Monday. But if temperatures in the outlook hold at least a few degrees away from freezing, then they may be able to handle that well. But obviously it depends on what happens Friday. If we get a decent round of snow again Friday, then we still may have a lot of problems with side roads and yeah, we may still have school issues next week. We'll see. All right, that moves by. There is another hint of a clipper the middle of next week. I didn't add it in the snowboard yet because right now the Euro's the only one excited about it, but it's possible. After that, we then get into that little warm bubble around the 18th to the 20th that is showing up. Some of the models even want to push us into the 40s for one day with rain that would develop. The model doesn't see this yet, but the rain would develop, and then as it moves on by, we would then go to snow once again behind it. And the catch to that is that as we head into the second half here of January, especially next week, we're going to see next week is going to be a pretty big cold blast that'll happen in the middle of the week. Then we get that warm bubble that'll push in. But just after this range, around the 22nd or so of January, the last 10 days of January, perhaps the coldest air of the season so far may push in. So if you're hoping that that warm bubble of 40s will hold, it is very unlikely. And yeah, so that's how we are standing out on some of those numbers that are coming in. So let me get right into the 10-day and get to some of your questions before I wrap up here and get ready for the midday show, which more data is rolling in now. So I got to look it over at that and see how I'm going to hash that out. Is the Bullitt County in the watch? Yes. Bullitt County, E-Town area, Hardin County, and Nelson County, and anywhere in that line near the parkways. If you have the Western Kentucky or the Bluegrass Parkway that goes through your county or near your county, you are in the watch. But that's going to change, guys. All right. That's just a heads up, but you've already had a heads up all week long about the system. So that's the purpose of the watch, is a heads up. It's going to be the warnings that will matter and advisories. They may come out as early as today. I'm thinking tomorrow, though, that they will come out. Will there be additional power outages from the storm? That's always possible, Jeff. But right now, I think this is going to be not an excessively heavy snow, a few inches of snow. It will be a wet snow for sure. It won't be a dry, fluffy one. But a wet snow like this does have weight to it. So it just depends on how much weight you've got in your area on the rooftops or on the trees. If they're still way down, this could aggravate it. Yes. The good news is I don't see a lot of wind right now. Ryan, do you think Jefferson County will be in the watch area? I do not know that. I'm assuming you mean Louisville. I don't know. I think a weather alert for snow of some type is likely for everyone. Okay. It's just going to vary on the type of warning and advisory. But we don't draw those. That's a Weather Service decision. So as soon as they decide, we will let you know. But I don't want you guys to get too focused on that. The terminology of the watch, warning, advisory, just know snow is coming. It's going to impact the roads. Friday afternoon, Friday night will be the worst of it. That's really what you need to know. That's the checklist of how this will go down on Friday. You see the very cold air next week. Again, there's that hint of the warming at the very end of the 10-day. Just after that, though, is when we get into the really cold stuff to close out the month of January. All right. It's a lot, guys. I know. It's been a very busy period for us here. Appreciate you all sending in your photos. Keep sending them in on the Wave Weather app. Please send them in. And if you have fun photos too, you can send them for the good photo of the day. That section's on the app too, on the weather app. And I'll show those on the 3 o'clock news, especially if you have something fun with the animals. Always love that, playing in the snow. So if you have any of those, send those in. You may see them on 3 o'clock today as well. All right. Be safe out there. Try to stay warm. Prepare for a very cold night tonight. And we got newscast all day today and tonight, right? So we'll keep you updated on these snow chances and the data that's rolling in for the midday hours. All right. I'm going to stop rambling. You guys take it easy. And I will see you all coming up on the flip side.